Good morning, Grace family. It's Friday morning. I'm coming to you, as you can see, from the church lobby, and I'm looking forward to this Sunday. I'm so excited. All those around the table, discipleship groups are starting this Sunday morning, so you can check out the information on that. And I'm going to be speaking not just in the indoor service, but at the outdoor service. That's going to start up at 10:30 this Sunday. So there's a lot happening, and I hope you're going to have a chance to be here. But if you can't, remember that we always post these messages on our website. But I wanted to give you a sneak peek. So you know that I've been working through 1 Corinthians 15. And I started that series a couple of weeks ago by saying we are too familiar with the word gospel. We sometimes fail to realize just how rich and significant it is. So I said that first week, we just kind of spent our time on this concept that the word gospel means good news. News like the things we read about in a newspaper or an online article about events that have actually happened. And Paul says that he wanted the Corinthians to know the good news that he announced or proclaimed to them. It's actually the gospel that I gospeled you with, heralded to you, much like a news broadcaster. And it's so amazingly good that this news has changed the world. We talked about it the second week, and we went a little further with it. And we talked about what does it mean to believe this. Paul, in that passage in 1 Corinthians, talked about how they had heard it from different sources, but they believed it. And as we talked about that and explored that, we went to some other passages. So we know that the death and the burial and the resurrection are the events, and these events were witnessed. They actually happened on our planet, witnessed by people who can tell us about them. But we also know that believing them is important. And it's not like believing about some other event in history. So we could talk about different things that we read in our history book and say, yeah, I think that happened. This is different. And so Paul talked about how they believed it. And that Sunday I took us to Romans 10, where Paul writes that if you will confess Jesus as Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So believing in this isn't just thinking the events happened, it's embracing the implications. Jesus has died for our sins according to the scriptures. A new way is opened back to God, and Jesus is now king. Not just of my personal life, not like that. He's king over everything. Now, that's not spelled out in the passages we've looked at so far. We've only looked at verses 1 through 12. But the next section, which is what we're going to do this Sunday, is verses 12 through 19, or 13 through 19, the next 7 verses. And there, Paul goes on this, it's almost like a rant, because he just rapid fire goes back and forth between Jesus' resurrection and our resurrection. You see, there are some that don't think there's anything after death, that you're just dead and gone. Or they think other strange things about what happens after death. And what Paul is talking about here is not just Jesus' resurrection, but our resurrection, the resurrection of the dead. And what we're going to discover is how we know not just about what's happened in the past, how the world has changed, but we know about what's ahead for us, what's coming. And we get a way to think about that. Now, what's important to see is we're only going to just get started in that conversation. There is much, much more for us to see in this chapter that is even more amazing, and it's rich because it gives us a great deal of hope. And remember, as you work all the way through this chapter, we're going to end up at a point where we are so convinced of how amazing this news is that we will be steadfast and immovable in being about God's work. And so I'm just so excited about this chapter. I'm learning a lot and just growing as I have been studying it, and I'm excited to share it with you. So I hope you get a chance to be here Sunday. I'll be inside and outside. And if you can't, we understand. If you can't come to either of those, remember, we're going to post these messages online. You can always catch it there on our website. So I hope to see you Sunday. Take care.